Hello and welcome everyone to today's presentation of Polygiene. My name is Stefan Knutsson and I'm an analyst covering the name here at ABG. And with me today I have the CEO of Polygiene, Ulrika Björk. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Ulrika Björk and I'm the CEO of Polygiene. I would like to introduce you to Polygiene and I will concentrate on the Q4, but I will make a short introduction for you who never heard about us. So Polygiene have a vision of transforming consumables to durables. We are operating in the textile industry, and as you might know, this industry facing a lot of challenges. There are long-term goals in United Nations that they should halve the carbon emissions in a 10-year period, starting by 2020 to 2030. And for that to happen, we need to do some disruptive innovations to make this curve break. And Polygiene have a solution for this. We know that about 60% of the potential for saving is in the upstream production phase in the textile industry. We know that 20% could be affected by the brands and the company who place products in the market. And then we have 20% where actually the end consumer can make a huge difference by changing their behavior. Next slide, please. Polygiene, we are a lean and focused company. We started out back in 2006 when the SARS epidemic was raging in China back in 2004. And we are a spin-off of the Perstorp Group, which is a chemical company from Sweden. And they found out that they had a product that showed to be very effective against bacteria and viruses. So Polygiene was created to commercialize this product. And we started out in the hard surfaces, but after a couple of years, we decided to continue and move into the textile industry to prevent odor in mainly training clothes at that time. And since then, we have been focused in the textile apparel market, focused on sport and outdoor, but also moved into fashion, lifestyle, home textiles, shoes, and other areas. We are working together with premium brand partners. That means that our technology could add a certain value to their products. And if they communicate this right, this will have extremely value and demand from the end consumer. So that is what you have when you're building ingredient brands, when you are selling something that you can't see, but you need to be explained. In the Polygiene organization, we have 27 headcounts. We are a global company, so we have people everywhere around the world on strategic places where we have customers or production. We also have a very large network of distributors and agents working for Polygiene. And the next slide, please. So how does it work? Polygiene is working with different technologies to enable and prolong lifetime of garments. That means with our treatment, you can actually keep clothes odor-free, or you can keep them clean from viruses, and also take these smelly odors out of textiles. And that makes that you can wear more and wash less, and therefore the lifetime of this product will last longer, and that is good for the environment. So we have three technologies. The first one is an antibacterial. It means that it prevents bacteria to grow, and it's the bacteria who causes the odor. And then we have a product that was launched last year in 2020. It's an antiviral technology that actually makes the textile self-cleaning, that the virus will disappear within a certain amount of time, according to ISO standard. And then we have Odor Crunch, that is also odor technology that capsules odor molecules, and they break them down so you can't smell them anymore. And Odor Crunch could easily be combined with the other ones to have a comprehensive technology to prevent odor. Next slide, please. And the Polygiene offer contains of three very important parts. It's first the technology itself, of course. This is the chemical who makes the function be applied into the textile. And then we have this marketing it's a very important part of building the ingredient brand. It is the communication around the function. So actually the end consumer knows what this is and what the features and benefits are by using Polygiene treated garments. And then the last thing, but it's very important too, is our support. We have a global support team of technical people and marketing people who can help our brands to sell through. And we have a support all the way from the day we sign the contract until the products are in the store. So that is Polygiene's brand offering. Next slide, please. And we add values in many categories. We started out in sport and outdoor, but then moving into everyday clothing like fashion and lifestyle. And we also see other kind of products now in bags, for instance, and home textiles, gloves and masks. So actually you can treat Polygiene's products in any kind of textile materials. Next slide, please. So now moving on to the highlights from the quarterly report. We had a new record sales again. We had, I think the third quarter was also a record and we beat that again. We see that the Stays Fresh antibacterial is recovering. We had problems during the 2020. As many other companies, our partners were suffering really hard from the lockdowns when they have overstocks and they need to cancel productions. And in some of these production, Polygiene was supposed to be applied. But now we can see in the quarter four that this is recovering, which is really, really nice. We also have an updated version of Viral Off, the antiviral technology, where we actually could promise 30 washes, that we still have the effective after 30 washes according to the standard. And that is ready to ship out now. And then we also had 29 new agreements in place. This is the same pace that we've seen during all of 2020. A huge interest, mainly of Viral Off, but also of the other technologies. And then, of course, the year ended with the acquisition of Addmaster, and I will come back to talk a little bit more about that. Next slide, please. Some key figures. We had the sales of 26.6 million SEK, and that was a growth of 40%. If we consider the exchange effect of the dollar, it was more than 55% growth. That's really good numbers. The gross margins was slightly lower than the last year, and that's mainly because of two things. First is there was a mix between the royalty and chemical that could hit the margin a little bit. And then we also saw the freight cost has been quite high. I know that is a fact in all industries now, where we can see 3, 4, 5 double of the freight cost because of lack of containers going to China. But this is just temporary. We are still aiming for a margin around 68 to 70% on a full year basis. And on the EBIT, we had minus 2.4, but that is actually caused by one-time cost for the acquisition. So consider that we are on a plus in the quarter compared to minus 2.2 last year. And next slide, please. And this is a slide of the full year. We ended up at almost 84 million SEK, and that was a growth of 22. If we adjust for the exchange rate, it was 27%. And the gross margin in the full year was 68.6, slightly lower than last year, but it's around this area where we are aiming to have in a full year. And the EBIT was minus 1.1, but if we again consider the one-time cost for the acquisition, we actually had a plus of 1.5, and that should be compared to minus 6.6, where 2020 ended up. So it's a huge improvement, and I can really feel that Polygiene has made a really good turnaround now. After 5 years, we are on a plus result on a full year level, and that's really, really good. Next slide. This is just to show the different segments in the quarter, how they moved, we can see that sport and outdoor is still the biggest one, but the growth is -5%. So we still have a long way back to where we were before. Lifestyle is growing very good. We had a growth of 117%, and it's a share of 31%. Home textile too is also having very nice growth. And home textiles, it's mainly towels and bed linens, but it could be any textiles you have at home. And then footwear is still a very small segment for us, but it adds huge value to the end consumer. So we need to continue to penetrate this area because we know there is a huge potential there. They have a good growth, but it's actually because of the agreement with Dr. Scholl now coming in. But we're working on it because we know that footwear is as I said, a huge potential. Next slide, please. Yes, and just some short notes on the different technologies. We had a nice recovery, as I said. The year-to-date drop was -20% in this field. But in Q4, we saw it was back on plus on 3%. So it's really, really nice to see. We can see that many of the existing brand partners, they start to produce again after skipped 1 or 2 collections. And the pipe of new brands coming in is very promising too. We were a bit afraid for how long this will last, but now we can see that actually they are coming back and new customers as well are interested in Bacterias. And then, of course, to still continue to focus on the sustainability benefits by using Polygiene. We attract a lot of fashion customers and a lot of lifestyle customers because of this storytelling we have with the environmental benefits of using Polygiene. Next slide, please. And viral off, we still see a strong demand for antiviral technology. It won't be over because we have a vaccine. I think it's actually opposite. When we open up and start to travel again, to go back to work, we start to have events, you would like to have this feature with antiviral technologies in the surfaces. So I think this is not an end because of the vaccines here. We can't see anything that shows that and support that. Yes, the Viral Off Plus ready to ship. And it's been a quite long process to develop this updated formula, but it's because of the testing procedures has been, I mean, the lead times are crazy. You can wait 6 to 8 weeks until you get a test back. And you don't want to send 100 tests at once because maybe you only need to pay 3 because you have a good result. So it's like a balance when you develop this. Yes, the new agreements that I said, 29, and all in all in 2020, we signed almost 100 new agreements, and that is also a new record for Polygiene. We're never onboarding so many new customers. And of these 100, around half we've seen that they have placed orders. Some of them are just like one order, but some of them are recurring business that will come back. And many of them are still test orders because there are some huge contracts and they haven't really get started yet. So there are all different kinds of orders here, but it's good to see it's coming. We can see, for instance, that Diesel, like you see in the picture here, it's from their spring collection. They have started to place order now and will launch soon. And this is an example of how it could look when they launch this collection. And then we have the sprays, Milano Colori, that also started to place orders. Next slide, please. OdorCrunch, as I said, the demand is growing. It's quite small still. But 2020 has been about bacteria and viruses and other antimicrobial technologies, not so much about OdorCrunch. But we can see that something has happened with the demand for these technologies as well. We have 23 brands working with OdorCrunch now, compared to only 1 in Q4 last year. Yeah, and you can see we have Diesel launching a combination with Viral Off. We have this Mosh Mosh, it's a Danish brand that you see in the picture. And Dr. Scholl is also featuring with OdorCrunch. And Introsport, who was the first customer coming on board with Crunch, they come back now and want to continue to do more collections. Next slide, please. And this is just a list of some of the new partners we had in Q4 to show that it's really, really good partners coming in. We have Marks and Spencer's that all you know, they started with one kitchen towel. Now they come back to us and want to expand the collection. And we are in their core collection, so that's really good. Bed Gears, it's bed linens in US. They are in a testing phase right now. Hanse Shopping is cleaning materials, where we can treat these sponges and cleaning material with textile inside. A lot of face masks. We had Armani. They're going for a travel collection end of the spring. Caterpillar, as you can see in the picture, they already launched and they sold this collection, and they come back and want to expand to do more with us in 2021. And then we have the backpacks. That is Gregory, who is a really, really premium brand when it comes to backpacks, and it's actually in the Armani, in the Samsonite group. So that makes us also good opportunities to move into the group. Next slide, please. And now to the acquisition of Addmaster. This was finalized the completion date was in January, but this was signed and the agreement was signed in December. The price was £33 million, cash and debt free, and it was paid both in cash and in shares. So we had this fundraising process that was very, very successful. And the owner, Paul Morris, the founder, and he will stay in the company as an advisor. And we have Sandrine, who is the managing director. She will also continue in her role. Next slide, please. So the background to this acquisition is actually Polygiene and Addmaster has been partners for more than 12 years. They have been the main supplier for us in our additives. And back in 2018, Polygiene sold the remains of our hard surface business to them. So we always had this divided between us, that Polygiene is focusing on textiles and Addmaster is doing hard surfaces, and we were never interfering with each other in the market. But now, since the COVID hit, we felt a lot of times this year 2020 when we actually went to the same partners because they wanted to treat everything. They wanted to treat with textiles and hard surfaces, and that was, okay, what do we do with these hybrid customers? Is it a Polygiene customer or is it Addmaster customers? So we started to discuss this, that could actually be very, very interesting to be one player in the market and to strengthen ourselves and to be a bigger part in the market. So there is huge synergies between us. There are so many benefits for working together. So I think this will strengthen the position. Polygiene's position and Addmaster's position will actually be stronger together, like 1 + 1 is 3. Next slide, please. Okay, so since Addmaster will not be in the group until January, the first quarter, I will not talk a lot about them, but we will see in the reports coming where we will integrate them, of course, into their quarterly report and be a part of our group. But Addmaster was a private held company. It was founded in 2000 by Paul Morris. It's a UK company, only with 12 employees. They don't have any team globally like Polygiene have. And they are actually doing all kind of antimicrobial treatments that is not textile. That's the perfect fit. They do papers, they would do glass, paints, coatings, plastics, everything that we can't do in Polygiene. They have a lot of global customers, and they are building the brand Biomaster for their antimicrobial technology, and they can do tailor-made formulation, and that is different from Polygiene, where we have like standard recipes. And they work through distributors around the world, and they also have 3 other very, very interesting technologies in the portfolio that might be something that Polygiene can commercialize. Next slide, please. And this is the pro forma with the group together. The last 12-month Q3 was the numbers where we bought the company on, and the full year 2020 was when we added another quarter on a rolling 12 basis. And as you can see, we have really, really good momentum now. The net sales will be 145 million, and this is when the intercompany transactions are deleted out. So it's 145 million. We have a gross profit of 98 million, a gross margin of 68%. That will give us an EBIT of 32.1 million and the EBIT margin of 22%. So this is like really, really nice, healthy numbers. And I can also say that the first month of the Q1 in January has started really, really well. We are like around 70% up after just 1 month in 2021. Next slide, please. So what we are doing right now, we are working on the integration phase, of course, get to know each other, meetings, a lot of company webinars. Unfortunately, we can't meet yet. Education and knowledge sharing. And then we started with the cross-selling synergies immediately. That means that Polygiene now have a bigger portfolio to present to our customers when we are out there selling. And Addmaster, in the same way, they can offer textiles now to their customer and their industry. And we are not interfering in the same kind of customers. We're not in the same kind of products. So we're still quite different in the market at this point. So here is a good opportunity for cross-selling. And then, of course, we also see synergies in the back end, in the finance. We can see in the supply chain where we try to align to make it more streamlined now. So give us more flexibility, and that's really good. And also in other areas where we can see that we can work really well together. Next slide, please. Oh, that was my last one. So now I'm open for if you have any questions.
Thank you, Ulrika. I will follow up with some questions from my own. Firstly, from Viral Off, obviously a huge success during 2020, but how do you make sure that this is not just a short-term boost by the pandemic, but that you can benefit from it also long-term, going like 21, 22 and so on?
Yeah, first we can see in the kind of agreements we have been signed up. It's long-term agreements. We can also see that many of the reports and the experts, you can see they made surveys, the demand for this has increased tremendously during this year. The customers or the end consumers, they are so aware of bacteria and viruses than never before. So the interest is very good on all levels. And we haven't seen, of course, it's not like crazy as last April when we started, but it's still a lot of demand for antiviral technologies. It's we can't see that it will decline.
Okay, perfect. And then if we look on the StayFresh technology, in the fourth quarter we saw a bounce back to growth here. How confident are you with the demand picture going into 21, and how do you think that the pandemic has affected this business area long term?
For the StayFresh antibacterial, we know why we have this decrease in sales. It's because of actually we had collections that was skipped. There were just no production. I'm quite confident that we will come back. I don't know if there will be third waves or lockdown again, but if there will be no major lockdowns again, I'm sure this will be growing very fast again. And as I said, the sustainability angle of wear more and wash less and have this antibacterial treatment, this demand was there even before the pandemic. I mean, it was the core business of Polygiene. Now, as I said, people are more aware, it will definitely be long term.
Okay, perfect. And then, Ulrika, if you would like to summarize, what will be your main focus for 2021?
First of all, it's integration, of course. We work a lot on that just to get the two companies together and to squeeze out the synergies that we have been calculating on, of course. And then, of course, it's growth. As always, we focus on the top line growth. Yeah, I think that's enough, at least for the first half. And then we will see what happens in the autumn.
Okay, perfect. Then I would like to thank you, Ulrika, for today's presentation and also for all you listeners to listen in.
Okay, thank you. Bye.